All set, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to call the July 15th meeting of the Architectural Licensing Board to order at 9:06. And I am going to share my screen. So you guys can see that, right? The agenda? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. First item is to review and approve the minutes of the May 20th Architectural Licensing Board meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'll move, Angela.
Second, Lorianne.
Second, Twig.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have to abstain. I wasn't present.
So Bob, you got that?
Okay, so you motion second, correct?
Yes, just to move the motion
Oh, okay.
along. Yeah.
Okay.
Comments or concerns of any person attending the meeting today? I think Gina and Manny, do you guys have anything to discuss?
No.
Okay, seeing nothing, we'll move on to the DCP investigation complaint report. So I guess we don't have the most current one. I assume everybody got the one that Bob distributed, right? Which is here. Which I mean, I looked at this and there is a lot of open items from, I mean, if I'm reading this right, these items are all open from 2018. Janita, am I right on that?
Yes, sir, they are. And if you go over to column N, those are the ones that were referred to legal. And any information regarding those files, because we did forward them to legal, would have to come from the legal representative. It used to be Paulette Annan. She's the assistant director up there now. And Ben Piloki, I'm not sure if I'm saying that attorney's last name right, but
Right.
I believe he's been assigned to become the architect board attorney, and it would need to be a conversation between him and Paulette as to where those files stand right now. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, that the last three, the 2022-11, 2022-19, and 2022 files are brand new cases that the investigations division received this year, and they are currently under investigation by my special investigator.
Okay, so because I mean, these first ones are referred to legal in 2019. So that's, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but
No, and Phil, it's Angela. Phil, we've asked at the previous, at least 2 or 3 board meetings for a report from legal on
Right.
why those are so old, and we still have not heard back from them.
no, I know, I'm just asking again. So thanks, Angela. Janita?
Yep, if you would like, Mr. Chairman, I can point it out to Director Brown, who sends her regards. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, and I will let her know that the Architects Board, again, is inquiring about the files that we sent to legal and what status they are at this point. So I could do that.
We appreciate that. And Ben's supposed to be on this call. So, I mean, we were hoping he would have been on by now to swear Julia in. So hopefully he's going to be on any minute and we can maybe ask him that question. Not sure if he's just getting involved with our board, if he's going to have the answer, but Angela, go ahead.
Did anyone send him an updated email to find out if in fact he's attending?
Yeah, I did, and he confirmed late yesterday afternoon he would be there. He got the invitation, he's got the packet, and said he would be on.
Okay, thank you.
I also am curious because I have not met Ben, and I had stepped down from the board to join a conversation about one of these with the previous person. After Paulette, there was another person. And we had several conversations. And it's just, I guess it's stalled at this point. So I'm concerned about the turnover in staff and not being able to follow through with the cases.
Right, I agree with you. And
So
Jeanette,
predate COVID too, right? They're 2019.
The top ones
Yes,
are, yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, so it's, okay.
All right, so I mean, so Jeanette, yes, if you can pass that message along, hopefully Ben will be on soon and we can ask him the same question. But it is, as Angela said, it's several times that this has come up at our meetings and we don't have any answers on it. So it just, I mean, people file these complaints for them, and I know we're preaching to the choir here, but they file these complaints and they're just, seems like a lot of them aren't going anyplace and it's just taking a long time. So we really would like to know why. And am I understanding that, so these are new complaints here, 2022.
Yes,
You're
sir.
saying there's only 3 complaints this whole year?
No, this 3 complaints in the time frame that I've used. So yeah,
Okay.
it is because from January 1st to now, but because of the necessity for me to carry over these files that are in legal for you and for former Chairman Barkin, I run the architect's report from January 1st, 2018 to the last, I usually do board reports in 2-month chunks of time because they basically meet every other month. And for my occupational boards, like the electricians, plumbers, this 2-month time frame that I'm working on right now would be May 1st of 2022 to June 30th of 2022. For the architects to keep maintaining those files that are in legal for a status for you, I start the board at the 1st of January 2018. And yes, in answer to your question, yes, it would appear that for right now, those are the only 3 files we've received.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. And again, my apologies to you, your board, for not looking closer at the math. I do apologize.
Right. So if you
And-
send an updated report to Bob, then Bob, you can just distribute it to us.
I will.
So legal division, I assume we need to wait for Ben to get on, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's
Yeah,
nothing.
we
Yeah,
still
so-
don't. Yeah, he's not, I don't see him.
Is there any way to reach him? Like, does somebody have a phone number for him? Because we really need to get Julia sworn in today.
I can reach out while you continue on, Mr. Chairman.
That would be phenomenal. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, to your board, again, my apologies. Thank you for your time and welcome to your newest board member once she's finally sworn in. So
Thank you.
I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janita. It's always a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so old business discussion concerning the reconciliation of continuing education hours for architects. I'm not sure there's really too much more to talk about this. At the last meeting, if I remember right, we agreed that we're just basically following the protocol of the other occupations. But the one thing that I saw that was an open item still was what we're doing for audits. Bob, has there been any more discussion of how they're going to audit this?
I have not, I don't have an update yet from our department, but I know that, as I mentioned last time, they're looking at continuing education across, department wide and potentially forming a panel or a special unit to do that. As soon as I have some information or Verinda has information, we will pass it along. I'll check, follow up with our director of operations to see what he's got for me on that.
Okay. All right, so then let's just keep that as an open item for the time being regarding the audit part of it,
Yep,
unless anybody has
absolutely.
anything else to add. Question from legal division concerning clarification of the use architectural designer.
Mr. Chair,
Refresh-
if I could-
Yeah,
that, just for the record, Attorney Fernandez, that was, she asked that would be removed from the last agenda because it was still an open case. And when the case that involved that question was concluded, she would, bring it, she would then address the board. But you had suggested you wanted to just keep that question on just in general terms for this agenda.
Right.
well, so, go ahead, Angela.
Also, that's the case that I'm on that has not concluded. So,
Right, no, that's what
Right.
Jess said.
there you go.
It's not concluded, and that's one of the reasons why she,
But I understand that Attorney Fernandez is no longer working for this group, so I think we need clarification on, you know, if there's changes in staff, what's happening to these cases and things
Yeah,
like that.
so, well, I really want clarification on that because my conversation with Bob only yesterday was that Attorney Fernandez is still involved with us. Am I wrong on that, Bob?
as of yesterday, yeah, I have not heard otherwise, so.
Okay, well, it's been
Officially, no.
months since my last conversation with her about the case that is in regards to this item, so I don't know what's taking so long.
It's a great question. So, all right, so hopefully when we get legal on, we can ask them that question also, but, and find out really who, you know, all the players are that we should be dealing with. Because obviously Ben's gonna be the new person, but if Cynthia Fernandez is still involved too, we want to know who's doing what roles here. All right, so I suggest, Bob, we keep that as an open item still, just so we don't forget about it.
Yes,
All right, well, Julia, my apologies on behalf of the staff, but we need to just wait until one of the attorneys gets on to swear you in this morning. Request for waiver of CEUs. I know Bob distributed this. I don't know who's seen him or not, but here, I put them up here for you. So there was 3 people. I'm gonna kind of just jump a little bit. Robert Emma. So Robert Emma, it seems to me that when I read through this, and Bob, you and I had this conversation a little bit, is that
Yeah.
he can just become emeritus. So if he's emeritus, then that basically means he doesn't have to do continuing eds right now, and he'll still be able to stay in the situation he's in. So I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else has an opinion on that.
Well, I think his correspondence says that he can't become emeritus due to his agreement with the firm. They need him to remain active in the
Active,
case.
right?
that
Yeah,
But
they-
he still has the license, no? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, but if you're emeritus, you can't stamp and sign anything or, right, it's just it's like a
Right.
retirement title, so that's my
I
understanding.
spoke with Mr. Emma, and I spoke with Phil too. I spoke with Mr. Emma at length about this, and here's the deal, you know, his letter into his correspondence indicates that the shares have already been executed to the other parties. And he wants to stay on kind of as a reserve. And I said, you know, I don't think, but this is before I brought it to the board. I said, if you want to stay active as an architect, then yes, you have to complete the continuing education requirements and renew your license. There is, if you're going to go emeritus or retired, you know, depending on which one you go, you're not an active architect. So I said, I don't think the board is going to, you know, go along with, you know, you could stay licensed, but don't have to do your continuing education. And he kind of agreed with that. He said, just for the record, can you please put it before the board just to see what they say? So Phil and I had a brief conversation, and here it is on the agenda.
yeah,
But
so
did speak with him
yeah,
at length.
right, because Angela, I'm not reading that says that he's gonna be stamping drawings or acting any way. He says he's retired. It says that he wants to just keep his license so that if at some point he has to come back and be back involved, then stamping drawings then. I mean, that would be my opinion, because my opinion is if he's still gonna be actively involved in stamping drawings, then I see no reason to waive the CEUs.
Right, so I was trying to put myself in his position and I'm thinking, well, what's easier? Getting yourself back out of emeritus status and into current status, or taking 12 hours of CEUs online, you know, in the leisure of your home. So
Right,
my whole thought was like, just watch the 12 hours. I don't understand why this is such a difficulty for people. They're free, they're online. You know, I don't see it. I really don't want to set a precedent. This is the first time the board has ever been presented with waivers.
right.
And I don't want to set a precedent that people can just say it's too hard to watch 12 hours of learning.
I agree 100%. I mean, so my opinion would be that we say to him, just what you just said, either become emeritus or do the CEUs. Luann, I'm
So-
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you that, you know, I can tell you what I have to do for someone who is admitted in New York, but doesn't typically practice in New York. I still have to do my CLEs. So, you know, I agree with all of you in your approach. And I think that is, you know, again, it's not a lot of hours. You know, you could do it listening to, you know, your earbuds while you're gardening. I mean, it's that simple.
Absolutely, 100%.
To do all my CEUs for my certification as well. It's not that hard, especially if you're retired.
Right.
What
So
we
Bob,
can do is offer some kind of extension. And again, this goes through, we don't know what the audit process is. We don't know what, penalties or conditions we're going to do when people don't complete their 12 hours. But we could offer that it doesn't need to be completed by the time of license renewal, which I believe is in a couple of weeks.
right.
So we could offer that.
So Bob, is this something we have to actually vote on?
No, the department and the board have already kind of unofficially said that because of the change in the reporting dates, kind of last minute, that if, we would accept CEUs up to the 31st of July.
Right.
Mr. Emma was aware of all this from the get-go. I mean, he was issued the memorandum back, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago in August, that when CEUs first came out. So, I mean, we could offer him an extension, but I guess what I'm saying is, it's, I don't know.
He knew, and he already sort of has an extension.
Yeah,
Well,
but I think at this point, I mean, especially being it's the first year, I think in fairness, being that the renewals due in literally 15 days, that we would at least give them, say, a 3-month extension, but give them the option of just becoming emeritus. I mean, that seems to me that that's as simple as path. So Bob, I would suggest that we go back to him and just say that we can give a 3-month extension, but he would have to do the CEUs if he wants to stay fully licensed. Otherwise, he becomes emeritus
Or retired, whatever he chooses.
or retired.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. I can do that. I can email him back to him.
Okay.
thank you.
So then the other two. So this is Kathleen Flynn, who just kind of reading through it, appears she's pretty honest in that she had some medical issues and just didn't pay attention to the continuing education requirement. So opinions on this? I mean, we do have exemptions in the statute that say for medical reasons, we would waive it. And I'm assuming if we waived it, it would be waived for just this year, but she has to do these for the following year going forward.
Correct. Matter of fact, the CEU period has already, for the next
Expired.
cycle,
Yeah.
has begun May 1st.
Right.
Through April 30th of next year. So yes, correct. It would just be for this renewal coming up for 2022 to 23.
Look, I mean, candidly, we have no way unless we start asking for medical records and other things, which I'm not really in favor of doing. We
No.
have no way of really knowing for sure, what kind of medical conditions these people are in. But if they're going through the trouble of writing this and I think being relatively honest, and I mean, I'd be inclined on this situation to give them the waiver for the year. But what does everybody else think?
I would support that as well.
I
And I
agree.
don't support much with stuff like this. So.
I know. Go Twig.
It almost felt like reading these. I'm dating myself, but remember that TV daytime show, Queen for a Day, where
No.
whoever had the biggest sob story won stuff. And I just felt like I was reading Queen for a Day applications. They're sad.
Yep.
So.
And
Angela.
I also think that, we should go ahead and waive it. And, what we're going to be doing, I think we're going to be keeping these records, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if we see a pattern, then I'm assuming we can look back and figure out if there's a pattern, like someone's asking all the time and throwing out the same issues as a potential. We can either look into it further or decline at that point in time.
Right. And candidly, I'm shocked we only got 3 letters. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people who just didn't do it and just haven't told us or asked for a waiver. But I'm shocked that we've only gotten 3 people that have asked for a waiver.
Excuse me,
Angela?
Verinda, you have a question, Verinda?
Yes,
I'm sorry, Phil.
to the chairman, Ms. Fernandez will be joining us shortly to swear in our new board member and give the board an opportunity to ask any questions
back questions that were not answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So, Angela?
Yeah, I mean, this app person gave some detail regarding the medical issue. I mean, again, you can do CEUs online. It doesn't require mobility, but it does look like she went through the trouble of describing her medical condition in detail, and it seems pretty severe. So I would be in favor of waiving it. Again, we don't want to get into reviewing people's medical records.
Right. So Bob, if you could just respond to Kathleen Flynn and tell her that we'll waive her for this past year. The past
Absolutely.
year, meaning the year that ended in,
Right.
April 30th of
Yeah, please
2022.
be specific with regard to the year we're waiving.
Yeah, because-
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because we're already in the next year, as you said.
correct. Right. I will do that and it'll be in her record.
So the last one is from John Matthews. Again, I'm sure you guys have all read this. I guess my opinion is the same as it was for the other one.
Yeah, I agree.
I would support this. Especially since he has 3 employees that are relying on his license status.
Right,
Yes,
so
I
the
agree.
flip side of that is he has 3 employees that somehow he's able to manage and everything else, and he's responsible for. So I understand he's had some medical issues, but as Angela said, how can you not be able to do your continuing ed online when you can manage your whole office?
Well, we don't really know that he's been managing them completely.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm
if-
playing devil's advocate for sure.
Yeah.
Well, look at, there are a number of organizations where employees are pretty much self-managed to start with.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we don't really want to go down that road because if
Yeah.
these people are not architects and they're self-managing and he's signing and sealing their drawings,
Yeah.
it becomes a whole other issue, which we're not going to get into right now. But
yeah,
So-
that's true. Okay.
so look, in this situation, I'm fine waiving it, but I'd caution him, Bob, that, going forward, we would expect that he's going to be doing his continuing ed hours if he can manage his office.
Okay.
Is there a way to flag these 2 individuals to ensure that they did do their hours in the coming year? I know a lot of this is self-reporting, which I find of concern.
Yeah, but that's the way, I mean, everybody does self-reporting and then that's what we talked about on the audits.
Well, I realized I wasn't present for the last meeting, but to keep my purchasing certification active, I had to do a certain number of CEUs a year. And I had to produce documents that I did them, that I attended the courses. And I wasn't designing anything that involved health, safety, and welfare. I was just buying stuff.
Yeah, I understand that. I
So,
mean,
yeah, I was kind of surprised to read that it's pretty much on the honor system and random audits.
well, and that's, I mean, I'm licensed in 11 states, out of which I think every one of them, 10 of them do continuing eds, and everybody self-reports. Nobody self-audits. Nobody asks for the documents unless you're audited.
Right.
There's no way
but
the state doesn't have enough time for people to go through
Right.
all of those.
I completely understand it. I was just surprised to see it.
But the self-reporting, I'm not sure means that you just take a course and mark it down. I mean, I self-report, but when I take a course, I get a certificate. I then put it in a file. And if I'm audited, I have to then produce it.
Right.
So I'm self-reporting that I've done it, but I receive a document that indicates the courses that I've taken. each
Right.
year.
And
That's what we're doing here.
Yeah,
The
so if-
certification is maintaining full records.
Right.
In the event of an audit, we've done this with the Landscape Architects Board. We get the paper copies of everything.
Right.
Right.
The course curriculum, the certificate that they've completed it, receipts from the payment, everything. But, kind of says that in the regulation, Lauren, you're right. That's, it's not just a matter of saying, yeah, I took it. We need all
Correct.
the paperwork.
There's more to it than that. And if, you know, yes, it's subject to whether or not you're audited, then you have to produce it.
Right.
I had to do all that. Went through the same drill. I got the certificates and the courses and all that kind of stuff. But I had to actually submit, and it may have changed because I'm now retired, but as of 5 or 6 years ago, I had to submit those documents.
Right, and so for
So-
candidate, or for licensed members who do get audited, and there's two audit process. Actually, AIA, if you're an AIA member, AIA can audit you because that's required to maintain your AIA membership. And I received one of those ones, and they gave me an extra year to complete, you know, the additional hours. But if you're an AIA member, AIA holds a central database on each member of all their, so it's basically all, you don't even have to produce the certificates. If you're an AIA member, you just ask for your transcript and then send that along to the state that's inquiring. And I believe NCARB had looked into doing that too, keeping a database for people. I don't think they proceeded with it yet, but there are resources for architects that, especially if you're an AIA member or an NCARB member, that you don't even really have to go through the process of keeping everything because you'll have a transcript.
Right, and to your point, Angela, with AIA, you do produce, when you take the course, there's some evidence that you've taken the course and everything else. So it's for AIA, you are not really self-reporting. They're verifying all of that. So,
Right.
and I think
so,
to your point, I think NCARB is still working on doing that.
yeah. And so Bob, for you in your process, when you, or when DCP's process of auditing going forward, they should understand that they should be able to accept an AIA transcript as evidence instead of asking the person for, you know, each individual 12 certificates.
Yes.
Hopefully that's helpful. And then back to, I think Loren's question, are we going to flag these people? Maybe as the audit process gets defined, if somebody has received a waiver in a prior year, that they are automatically asked for evidence the year after they asked for the waiver.
Great idea.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
There is a way, I have to fill to the board also. There is a way to do this in our licensing system. I need to find out how to enter a reminder or a flag, you know, to know that the waiver, you know, just what we talked about. I think there is a way to do that. I'll confirm that
That'd be great.
and do it with the people we've.
Yeah, and I like Angela's idea of, you know, you got waived last year, now we want to, now basically you're audited the following year automatically.
And I would suggest that in your response, Bob, we indicate that. Put them
Right.
on notice that we expect them to maintain records for the coming year. And we'll be asking that they submit it at the end.
I agree. And
Right.
also, Bob, your correspondence with them could also indicate that, you know, just as a reminder, there are plenty of resources that are free and can be done by video. Just to remind them that we know
Tons.
you don't need to physically go somewhere or pay to get CEUs.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So moving on, the following
Gina has
candidate.
So excuse me, Gina.
Oh, I'm
has her
sorry,
hand up.
Gina has a question. Sorry, pay attention.
You're on mute.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't there. In the regs, it does say that AIA and NCARB are accepted. So the transcripts are already accepted for that. So I don't think that it's anything that you have to relay. That was something that you sent me the regs, Bob, that I went
Right.
through and
Right. As long as it's
We read it.
HSW and it's marked HSW from AIA, that's it.
accepted, right?
Okay, so moving on to the following candidates have passed the ARE and are recommended for licensure as architects in the state of Connecticut. So there's 3 people, Aaron L. Benkin, Charles Murat Williams Hickox, and Thomas Sinowitz. Can I get a motion to approve these?
I'll move. Angela?
Loran, second.
Any conversation, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Excuse
So
me,
I
Mr.
will-
Chairman? Excuse me, Angela, just for a moment. Attorney Fernandez is on, just for the record.
Oh, that's great. So we're going to break the agenda right now and ask that she swear Julia in.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. We had a little mix up here this morning. But
No problem. Thank you.
if you
Hi,
give me,
Cynthia.
hi. Give me 2 seconds. Let me pull up the oath. And I just had it in front of me. Okay. All right. And the name of the person I'm swearing in is?
Julia Jack.
Okay. All right. So Julia, do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge according to law your duties as Architectural Licensing Board member to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You're in. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Julia.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Cynthia, while you're here, we have a few questions regarding legal. One of them is who's our board representative? Because we were understanding that Ben's involved, but I know that you've been involved. So are you both on the board now, or?
No. So I'm assigned to this board. Ben is a relatively new attorney, so he was going to just take on the swearing in, just to get experience doing the swearing in.
Okay, that's great. So then our other question is that we received, all the complaints and the open complaints before that have been submitted, and several of them go all the way back to 2018 and referred to legal in 2019.
Right.
Just trying to find out why is it taken, and we've asked this question before, but why is it taken so long for these to be resolved?
So I think that's a multi-layered issue. I know that COVID also delayed a lot of cases. These cases were, assigned to a couple of attorneys, and then I recently inherited them. And I'm in the process, they all involve the same issue, which is architectural designers holding themselves out, or at least the misuse of the term architect. They all, involve the same issue. But I'm hoping to have those all resolved by the fall. I can't comment on them specifically since they're still open. But, I don't want to, I can't speak for why they're taking this long. I think that's above my pay grade, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a matter of caseload, and we recently have also hired many new attorneys since there is so much work to go around. So I'm hoping to have all of those resolved, hopefully by the end of the summer, but they are in progress. They're not sitting untouched and ignored. I'm in the process with, I think there's 6 open, or at least 5 that remain open that I'm still, concurrently working on. So it's a work in progress, but it's making progress.
Okay. My other question for you, which isn't on the, I don't even think it's on the agenda right now, but and I actually sent you an email the other day, but it's come up, is corporate ownership in Connecticut, right? Because we know there's a corporation that's practicing architecture engineering. It's a joint practice corporation. The question simply is, do one of the owners of that corporation have to be a licensed architect in the state of Connecticut, or can it be licensed? Can it be owned by engineers or somebody else?
Right. I saw that email late yesterday. I'm going to look at that. I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't want to, speak off the cuff and give an incorrect response.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I want to look into that and do a little research and make sure, I give you the correct response. But I should have that by next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cynthia, Phil, can I chime in for 1 second?
Please.
Is there a difference?
Bob, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Twig.
I have to peel off. I'll see everybody later. Have a good rest of the
Okay.
summer, and I'm sorry for the interruption.
That's okay. Thanks, Twig.
All right. Take care.
Right.
Good, Bob.
Cynthia, I know it talks about stock ownership, but is there a difference between, in other words, in joint practice, each profession on its own has to hold at least 20% of the voting stock if it's architect engineer profession, then it's 20% architects, 20% engineers minimum. Together, they have to own at least 2/3. In addition to the CEO. Or no, I don't think it says CEO, but what's the difference? Can that exist and yet an owner cannot, doesn't have to be licensed? I'm not sure the difference between owner and stockholder ownership.
Right, right, and that's why that statute's very complex.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very, yeah, it's a very complex statute to read and to decipher and to really pick apart, and that's why I want to take my time in coming up with that response, because I'm not sure, to be honest.
That's why we're asking you.
Yeah, that statute is very densely written, so you got to be careful with how you interpret it and what you're applying to it. So I just want to take my time with that one.
Okay. Does excuse me, does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask Cynthia while she's here?
It's Angela. Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Hi, good.
I'm just hoping that we can have responses before our next meeting on those questions.
Meaning on the question that we just raised or the open
Yes.
pieces? Oh, sure, no.
All of them.
No, I'm hoping to have that next week.
Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's not something that I would leave hanging.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I will thank you. Welcome to stay on, Cynthia, but we appreciate your time this morning and thank you for getting on and getting Julia sworn in.
Definitely, thank you. I'm just going to jump off. I have a quick meeting to get to next.
Okay, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Take care. Thanks.
Okay, so back to the agenda. Application for licensure by waiver examination. The following individuals were approved. I'm clearly not going to read all these names, but we have a lot of people, 54 people that have been approved by reciprocity for licensure in Connecticut. And then applications for corporate practice of architecture. The following have been approved, and we have 3 corporations that have been received corporate licenses. Comments or concerns of any person attending the meeting today? The one thing I just wanted to mention is that for anybody who's not aware, that we are hosting the NECARB meeting. So the Regional Licensing Board meeting we're hosting in Connecticut, October 21st to 23rd. That's going to be in West Hartford. Angela's been working diligently with Dawn to coordinate and schedule, and I know she's having a pleasurable time doing that. So I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled, that Angela's taken that task on. But if anybody has any comments, they can forward them through me and Angela. Just copy both of us as far as restaurants or suggestions or anything. So, because Angela, have we worked on the tour thing?
Yeah, so I can give an update.
That'd be great.
We're all set with the educators conference portion that will be up at University of Hartford, which will be exciting because we'll have some students join us. We'll be able to maybe see their studio, stuff like that. So the main conference for the board members is at the Delamar, but then the educators piece Friday afternoon will be at UHart, which is great. And then I am having fun doing a little restaurant research. So Dawn wanted more than one name, so I'll be forwarding a couple of names over once I have the status, once I'm satisfied with what they're offering. The tour also, I made some great progress. When I was talking to University of Hartford about the conference, I asked Elizabeth Petrie's opinion on a tour, and she actually already has sort of a tour set up that she uses with the students in the fall. And she might ask the students to help lead it. So I have a whole list. It's basically kind of making a circle around downtown Hartford and pointing out both historic and modern buildings and their architects and their stories. So between Kent McCoy at my office, who's also led tours in Hartford in the past, I know he did it for Architecture Week for AIA a few years ago. It was really a lot of fun. He knows a lot of tidbits. So I think between a student or two and Kent, we'll have a downtown tour that will include both historic and modern.
That's great, Angela. Really appreciate it. So Julia, just to kind of give you a summary of how the meetings are run and the times and everything. So it starts on Friday at noon. We're doing every other year, we're doing an educators conference. And so we're doing that. That's Angela just said at the university Friday afternoon. So that would be from noon to dinner time pretty much, and then dinner on Friday night. Then we have our business meeting, regional business meeting on Saturday, which is usually done around lunchtime. And then some sort of tour, whatever you want to do in the afternoon, and then a group dinner Saturday night, and then we're done. So well, you should have gotten to save the date. So just tell me if you did, so I know that you're on the mailing list.
I'm not sure if I did. I'll have to check. If
Okay.
not, I'll let you know.
If you didn't, if you would be so kind to send me, and I'll talk to Dawn and make sure you're on the mailing list. We think you are, but
Okay.
we want to be 1000% sure because it's important you start to get all these documents as they're being sent out. So
Okay, good.
And Angela, what restaurants are you considering?
Barcelona, Zohara, and Max Oyster,
the 3 good choices.
of course.
Yeah.
Phil, I had one other item. We kind of got interrupted by Attorney Fernandez right after we officially made our 3 initial licensure candidates architects. And I wondered, in the past few meetings if they're online, we've allowed them to come on and say something. So unfortunately, Erin Benkin works in my office, and unfortunately she has her grandmother's funeral today.
Oh
So
my God.
she's not able to join. I know it's a
Yeah.
happy, sad day for
Yeah.
her. But I wondered if the other 2 candidates, or if Erin is not at the service yet, if anybody's on and they might want to say something.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on. Bob, do you?
No. I don't.
I do see, excuse me, Chairman and Bob, I do see someone attending. I don't know if that's someone that should be participating or one of the persons that our colleague Angela wanted to speak.
Right. Well, I see
There's a-
Manny on, and I see Gina has her hand up. So I'm sorry, Gina, if I didn't see that already. But I don't see any of the candidates. Do you, Bob?
There is a phone number here, Verinda. I did see that. And I
Yes.
did say, I did allow this permission to speak, and I haven't had, no one's said anything yet. I granted permission to speak about 20 minutes ago.
All right, thank you.
So yeah. So whoever's
You're
phone
welcome.
number 5512438, if you are one of the candidates and you want to speak, feel free to. You're muted if you are. Didn't know that. All right. Well, if they decide to speak, great. Otherwise, Gina, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, I wanted to know if I could get a copy of the DCP report.
Sure.
And also I wanted to congratulate Julia on being part of the ALB.
So I said sure, but Bob, there's no reason. Is there any reason Gina can't have a report?
I don't think that there is. I'll double check with Cynthia, but Gina, I didn't send you one already?
The agenda and the minutes, but I didn't get the report.
Okay.
Yeah, the report would have been in a
All right.
separate email. So
Yeah,
because I
okay, I'm
mean,
sorry.
she-
I'll double check.
yeah, everybody could see it when we shared it online. So
Yeah. It's
So,
a figure.
yes, I see no reason why you can't have it.
I'll send it. to you.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? So our next meeting has been moved to September 23rd, just to make sure everybody knows that.
Mhm.
Angela, I know you might have a conflict.
Possibly, I won't know till closer. Sorry, Phil, just one more thing.
No problem.
I know we had some dialogue as to the process for complaints, and the other thing we might want somebody to look into, whether it's our board executive or legal, is that if a complaint isn't resolved in the complainant's liking, what is the next step? What is the actual process? Does that then go to the commissioner of DCP, or does the ALB need to do something? Like what? I just want to know what the process is.
Yeah, I don't have the answer. I understand. Basically, you want to know how do you appeal the decision? Basically, that's it, right? How do you appeal the decision if you don't like the
Or if
decision?
the board is contacted, or if the commissioner is contacted, how are those groups supposed to respond?
It might be, and legal will be able to respond, but there's an appeal of administrative process or administrative decision, which is what this would be, I think. And that there is a general process for that overall, but I think, legal probably can answer that to see if it falls within that area.
Bob, do you want to contact Cynthia or do you want me to send her an email or? Because she'll be the person that we need to ask the question to.
I mean, if you wouldn't mind, Phil, could you send her an email and CC Veranda and
course.
I on it?
Mhm.
Just for the record as the chairperson?
Yeah.
On behalf of the board.
Sure, be happy to.
Angela, excuse me, if the complainant wants to appeal, doesn't like the decision that was rendered, is that what you initially said, or?
Well, we don't have control whether a complainant appeals or not. I guess if the board is contacted, about a case's resolution, what are we supposed to do? Or if the commissioner is contacted about a case resolution not being satisfactory, what is the commissioner supposed to do?
Right, but it
Contacted
has to
by anyone
become,
in particular?
yeah, it would have to be from the person who made the complaint because there's nobody who else is
Well,
gonna.
it could be from anybody, I guess. Like so say, I know complaints are supposed to go right to where complaints go. But say a case is closed and somebody complains about the
Right.
resolution, where are they supposed to direct their correspondence to? And then what are those people supposed to do? Whether if the board is contacted or if the commissioner is contacted, is
Right,
there a
well,
process?
Yeah, I mean, in essence, they want to appeal the decision. It's really,
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's even an appeal process. I'm just curious. I just would
Yeah.
like to understand.
no,
the
I
whole-
agree with you. I agree with the question 100%. So, I will send I'll send, I was looking at you and I thought,
Yeah,
I'll
no,
send Cynthia an email. So,
So can I ask if that's also the case, if there is not an appeal process? And is it possible to have a case, I'm going to say reestablished, but entered as new?
yeah, well, I would
It'd
think,
have to be entered as a new complaint if that's the case. That
Yeah.
would be the other part of it.
yeah, I mean, that would be my opinion is that they're probably not reopening the case, that you'd have to have you'd have to file a new complaint that would have to be different than the original complaint
Yeah, I
or
would
new
think that-
evidence at least.
I agree. It would have to be something that's different. You just can't allege a complaint of a decision that you didn't like.
Because a lot of people don't like decisions that are made. Let's be honest, so, but we'll get an answer for sure. So. Anything to add, Julia?
nope,
So
not yet.
we're glad to have you on board, though, believe me.
Thank you
So,
very much.
And hopefully you'll be able to join, well, we'll have a meeting before the October meeting, but
Yeah.
if you can attend that meeting, at least for part of it, it's really good to see the other states and talk to them and see however, and you're lucky that it's right here in West Hartford.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
a very convenient first meeting because, and our regional meetings, so we meet regionally, starting this year, we'll be reading every other fall. We used to meet every year.
Okay.
So the next regional fall meeting won't be for 2 years. And then we have a joint spring meeting, which actually our joint spring meeting next year is in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so somehow that got pulled off. And then our annual meeting next year is in Tampa, Florida. So
Okay.
as we start to get, invitations for these meetings and I set them up and everything, we can figure out that the state doesn't pay for anybody,
Right.
but regional pays for some people and national pays for some people. So we're usually able to send a fair amount of people to the meeting. So
Nice.
So-
Okay, good.
We should send you those dates, Julia, because we have them so that they're in your
Okay.
calendar.
That would be great. Yeah.
I can send you an email after with those dates. So,
Okay.
and is Veranda still on?
I think so.
Okay.
Thanks, she
I
is.
don't yeah,
Here
so
I
yeah,
am.
so right, so because what I was going to say is that they also they'll fund you to go to some of these meetings also. So we could,
Fantastic.
yeah, Yeah, so I'll send some information to you too about the
Please,
dates and
thank
everything
you,
else.
thank you.
So,
Yeah, and actually, either Phil or Bob, you should introduce Brenda to NCARB, our, the people there. I'm sure there's a new member board executive orientation that they could do for her,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. So it's all good fun, and hopefully you'll be able to join us at some of these events, Brenda.
Absolutely. Just a little bit about my background. I've been serving the state for probably a total of 12 years in different capacities. My longest gig was at DOL as an adjudicator and an auditor, career counselor. I bring lots of unemployment and reemployment experience. I am a United States Army Reserves veteran. I've worked in corrections for another state. I have a master's in public administration. I'm in graduate school now.
wow.
I've done a lot of work and I've been working a long time. I have no idea of some of the regulations that govern your profession, but I see this as a learning curve, and I bring a great deal of respect to professions and craft. And so you do have my commitment to that, to learn and to be a part and to support. So thank you for
Excellent.
having me.
We look forward to having you with us. So that'd be tremendous. So, and Bob, I
And-
think you did share her information with Dawn though already, right?
Oh, yes.
So-
Yep. I
Great.
gave Vernda, I gave Dawn your contact information. There's also a different person, Phil, on our department that Dawn also has that's doing the invoices now also. NECARB and NCARB invoices.
Right.
Dawn has
Okay.
that information as an aside.
Yeah, I saw that she sent the invoice to somebody I didn't know. So,
Yeah. Maggie Poisson.
okay. All right.
And Bob, will you continue to meet with us going forward, or are you phasing out?
On a temporary, yeah, I'm working on a temporary basis on and off between now and the end of the year, depending on the needs of the department and so forth. So for the time being, yes, applications and CE questions, and I'm very busy. So
Right. So, but hopefully we'll see
so
you at
the
the
answer is
September.
yeah,
Hopefully we'll see you in the
Yes.
September meeting. So,
hopefully yes.
And you can join us in October too, if you'd like,
Okay.
in West Hartford. That would be great.
absolutely.
We could have a little celebration. How many years have you been, not just at the state, but in this particular capacity, could I ask?
Well, it's all the same. It's all in this capacity, all with the state, just under 28, 27 years, 11 months.
So
Wow.
so everybody, I think I've mentioned this to a few people on the board. So Bob licensed me
Wow.
around that time when he
Wow.
was. very
Well,
early.
I processed your application.
Processed my
The board licensed you. Yeah. Andrew,
So
how
I'm
long ago was that?
gonna miss you very much, Bob. You have a special place in my heart.
We'll all miss you, Bob.
Thank you.
So,
You all have a special place in my heart. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Is it possible for you to send me a headshot and a brief write-up about your time there? I'd like to announce it in our Archetype magazine about your
I could-
retirement.
Okay, I'll try to, I'll put that, see if I can put it together for you.
Thank
Gina.
you.
That's very nice of you, Gina. So, all right. If nobody has anything else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second. All right. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Pleasure to meet you all. Take care now.
You too.
And you. See you soon.
See you soon now.